Public hearing participation guidelines. Aligning with the guidelines of Board Policy BCB1, public participation, residents of Twiggs County are invited to provide public comments during the HB 581 public hearings while maintaining civility, respect, and proper decorum. These hearings serve as an opportunity for public input regarding the board's education's intention to opt out of HB 581. While the board will thoughtfully consider all public comments, it will not engage in discussion during the hearing. However, concerns related to a specific school or staff member should not be addressed during the public hearing. Such concerns should first be discussed with the school's principal. If unresolved, they may then be escalated to the superintendent. A few guidelines. Individuals wishing to speak will be allotted up to 5 minutes, adhering to principles of civility, respect, and proper decorum. When a delegation is present, only one representative may speak on its behalf, with a time limit of 5 minutes, while also maintaining civility, respect, and proper decorum. At this time, we're going to prepare, we'll turn it over to Ms. Jenkins and the Twiggs County High School.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am the proud principal, appointed principal of Twiggs County Middle School High School as of July. And I just wanted to attach some great faces to the new young people who will be flooding our community in just a bit. Again, I'm Reese Jenkins, the principal of Twiggs County Middle School High School. Board members, good morning. Community, good morning. Parents, good morning again. I want to introduce you to Colonel Terry. Colonel Terry is a 26-year vet who served our country in the United States Air Force for 26 years. He has been leading JRTC cadets for the last 9 years, and we're super excited that he has joined our team and been here and a notable force in our community. I also want to introduce you to our Twiggs County High School JRTC. They are composed at the high school of freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. All of those students are definitely leaders in our community. They represent us very well, which you will see today. These students exemplify leadership, they exemplify academic excellence, and many of them are on the honor roll, which means they attend to their business as well. I want to tell you who's joining me today. Jada Finn, who is our senior. She is going to Oconee Fall Line Technical College to study early childhood education, and she's going to return back here to serve our community once she completes her studies. I also want to introduce you to Jasmine Nichols. She is a senior, and she plans to study law at Mercer, so she'll be just around the corner and be able to, of course, serve us well. And then Mr.
Mic check. Good morning. My name is Mark Davis. I'm the new principal of Jeffersonville Elementary School. I am the excited new principal there. This morning, I have an honor. First of all, I want to say good morning to all the community members, all the parents, all the board members. Thanks for inviting us, because what you have in front of you here is we have a JES chorus. These students get to receive music each and every week. And Mr. Wilson over here that's on the keyboard, he has been with us for 4 years. He's a graduate of Fort Valley State University, or I should say the Fort Valley State University. And he works with our students, and he has written some very special songs that these kids enjoy singing, and we've taken them around for them to perform. But today it is my pleasure to present our choral singers. These are our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders at Jeffersonville Elementary School. And Miss White, she is our director when Mr. Wilson's on the keyboard. She teaches ELA for our 4th graders there at Jeffersonville Elementary School. So sit back. I hope you enjoy this performance. Our kids love singing for you. And this, again, is the future of Jeffersonville right here.
Good morning. My name is Andrea Denson. I am the CTAE Director and College Career and Continuous Improvement Specialist for Twiggs County Public Schools. It is with great pride that we present to you the Class of 2024 Signing Day Reel. These remarkable students embody the very best of Twiggs County, demonstrating persistence, dedication, and a relentless pursuit to their dreams. They serve as role models to their peers, having completed their academic journey here in Twiggs County as they become employed, enrolled, and enlisted in the businesses, colleges, or branches of armed services of their choice. Please enjoy this special celebration of their achievements and aspirations. Thank you.
Can you give our graduating seniors of 2024 a round of applause? They're in their colleges and universities right now studying to become those professionals that they desire to be in there. All of their education was begun and ended right here in our great school district. We're a school district with a vision, generating excellence, one team, one goal. And our mission is to inspire, challenge, and prepare all of our students to compete globally. And as you have seen today, we have demonstrated excellence that is exactly what we do every day. I want to take a moment to express my appreciation for all of the community members who are attending our public hearing today. Your engagement and your participation does reflect a deep commitment to the success of our students and our schools. A special thanks also to our principals, to our school leaders, and those exceptional students who contributed to such a meaningful event today. Their talents and abilities showcased by the ROTC cadets, our JES choral singers, and of course, the class of 2024 are truly inspiring. Their performances not only highlight their hard work and their dedication, but it also demonstrates the strong foundation of excellence within Twiggs County Schools. I also extend my gratitude to the educators and staff who helped to prepare these students for their moment in the spotlight. Their efforts ensure that our students continue to grow in confidence and skill, making moments like these possible. Thank you again for your leadership in fostering a school environment that uplifts and celebrates our students. Today's public hearing is for the purpose for us to share with you information and definitions about House Bill 581, and to also help to outline the reasons for the intention of the Board of Education to opt out. Mr. Austin is our Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations. He also serves as the school district CFO. He will be leading that presentation today on House Bill 581. And as Mr. Karstoffen has already shared, we will allow the community members who wish to speak 5 minutes to come to the podium. We'll assist you. We have a computer there that has the timer on it. We'll allow everyone to speak. You're going to put it on the screen? They're going to put the timer on the screens to help everyone stay inside of the time limit. Mr. Karstoffen already talked about those guidelines, and those will be the opportunity for the community who wish to speak will be allowed as soon as Mr. Austin completes his presentation. Again, my name is Dr. Mac Bullard. I am the proud superintendent of Twiggs County Public Schools, and at this time, I'll allow Mr. Austin to come forward and to lead us in the House Bill 581 presentation.
Well, hello again, stakeholders. Good to see you. I'm glad that you all came out for our second hearing. Do want to add to the protocol that was set that please, when you come up, speak directly to the mic. We want to ensure that all stakeholders that are hearing this virtually can also hear this as this is being streamed, and want to ensure everyone's voice is recognized and heard. So, same presentation from last week. We'll go into some things with that and hopefully provide more information. I always say that these hearings are designed to bring information, not to persuade or cause any disagreement, but to agree that you have information that you can take back and provide feedback on. So that intent is there. The mission and vision of the district has already been established by Dr. Bullard, so we'll go directly into the presentation. So we talked about last time, what does House Bill 581, what is it, what does it mean? Now, historically speaking, in Atlanta, Georgia, reassessments took place, property values and assessment values went up. And taxpayers had a disagreement with that, and they voiced their concerns, which allowed this bill to take place. Now, as we looked at in November 2024, you had a question on the ballot. That question stated, shall the Constitution of Georgia be amended so as to authorize the General Assembly to provide by general law for a statewide homestead exemption that serves to limit increases in the assessed value of homesteads. But, anytime there's a but, there's something that will negate what went before that, which any county, consolidated government, municipality, or local school system may opt out of upon the completion of certain procedures as outlined in the bill. Now, we do know the vote is the vote. 63% voted statewide yes, 75.83% voted in Twiggs County yes. And it was designed to allow you all as stakeholders to vote, but also in the bill designed to allow entities like us to opt out, and some other things on the backside we've later learned to where local delegation may have a voice in this. So I understand, constitutionally speaking, this should be what it is, but the Constitution in this particular case and law was written to give options. And if the bill was sound and I think written in its intent to be good, an option wouldn't have been provided. So obviously someone recognized that this bill wasn't entirely equitable across the board. The floating homestead exemption section, it states that the proposal of a floating homestead exemption looks like this. There will be a cap in place. The cap is based on the inflation rate. Now, we went through the pandemic and we know that inflation was something that was talked about a lot, and that inflation rate is going to limit the percent increase. So as we get into the presentation, I'll give an example, but we do know that the state revenue commissioner is going to set that rate. It could be the CPI rate, which is the consumer price index, or it could be a different one, but we're assuming the CPI rate. Now, I want to make this very clear. This opting out process that we are taking does not repeal or remove any of the exemptions you currently have. It does not take away, it does not make them go to a different place, it does nothing with them. I do know by looking at our digest and consolidation sheet that you have a regular homestead, elderly, disabled veteran, age 65, 100% disabled veteran, Freeport, personal property, conservation use, forest land protection. You have quite a few exemptions, and all those exemptions will remain if you have applied and are eligible for those exemptions. I want to ensure that that is on the page. And these exemptions have been in place since House Resolution 518 was passed in 1981 for our regular homestead exemption. In the early 2000s, the rest started to trickle in. So we've been having exemptions in Tweeds County for quite some time. Now, is this a permanent decision? As of right now, yes. If we decide, which that's our decision to this point, and we plan to carry out, to opt out, that decision is permanent. If a county, city, or school district remains in, that decision is permanent, at least for 50 years. So let's go to local exemptions and millage rate. We just talked about some of those exemptions. Specifically for the senior exemptions, $25,000 is the exemption as it relates to income. So it's the actual fixed amount exemption, excuse me. So the income limit for seniors doubled from $15,000 to $30,000. Its intent was to ensure that more residents had opportunities to qualify based upon income. And then the homestead exemption of $6,000 is there as well. Now, historically, when there's been some movement and fluctuation in the market, rolling back the millage rate, lowering the millage rate has always been tools that the school district can potentially use. I know looking at our digest back in 2007, 2008, that was a particular time to where the housing market crisis came and things looked very dim. During those years, our millage rate was 20. The market suggested everything at that time was that the inflation rate was low, the interest rate was going low, and we needed to ensure that the school system could survive, and most districts raised the millage rate. Well, in 2009, which was the reassessment year, it dropped to 15.6, which means it was lowered. In 2009, it appeared that the reassessment gave opportunity for the school district to have more revenue. And as you know, in 2012 is the period that the recovery of the economic crisis happened. And since 2012, Tweeds County Public Schools maintained a millage rate of 16.6. I'm pointing that out to say that, historically speaking, we do the right thing in crisis moments, and it's been evident since 2007. Also, during the pandemic, there's another economic crisis to point out in 21, 22, and 23. We were able to roll back the millage rate. A different market, and this market suggested that everything was higher. Property value was higher, reassessments were higher, and what did? We rolled back the millage rate to save revenue as it relates to going out your pocket into the tax commissioner, taxpayers, what you ought to pay for your bills. So we have every intent to ensure that we are using the tools that we are afforded, which is the millage rate, to roll back in the event that this takes place. Now, I want to clarify this. The rollback rate is suggested by the tax commissioner. Once we sit down with the tax commissioner, which we do every year, we'll look at the numbers. We won't take no more than what we need to balance our budget. So the rollback rate could still cause an increase in taxes because that's a formula thing, and that's not my expertise to explain. But I do know the rate will roll back. So if it's 18.9, is the millage rate that is suggested because of reassessment. If we had the opportunity to roll it back to 18.0, we're going to take that opportunity. So the accountability will come when it's time for that to happen. I would like to see you all in that meeting to say, Twiggs County Board of Education, you said you're going to roll back the millage rate if we had a reassessment. That's fair accountability, all right? So House Bill 581, floating homestead exemption, how does this work? So the base year assessed value, so if you had a home exemption starting in 2025, the base year would be the prior year, which is 2024. Now, there are reset conditions you must understand as well. The exemption value will reset under two circumstances: when the home is sold, and if you decide to make any changes or renovations to your property, those things that you normally do to get your value up when you want to sell it. So if you decide to do those things, there could be a reset of that exemption. And it don't go with you. It's non-transferable, so the exemption cannot be transferred to a new property if the homeowner decides to move. Now, we talked about definitions. Dr. Bullock mentioned this earlier, but here let me explain two key ones. The homestead exemption, which I read off the digest and what that is fixed. It means it do not move, no matter what the market does. If it's $10,000, it's going to be $10,000. Simple as that. The floating, it moves. As the word suggests, it floats. It moves according to the market. So, as an example, if your taxable value of your home is $100,000 and the real assessment say your new value is $110,000, remember, now you're paying $110,000 because that's what the real assessment is saying. Well, if we have a cap in place and the inflation rate is 2%, that would mean that that cap will put your new taxable value at $102,000. That float is $110,000 minus $102,000, which is $8,000. So the design of it is to float in between what the adjusted value would be. That's the unique difference in that. But I do say this. The homestead properties such as commercial, industrial, agriculture, and multifamily residential will continue to be valued at their fair market value. Now, I do understand in the last presentation, the comment was that this was not completely accurate, but I challenged that by saying, yes, we do have exemptions to cover those groups. But I also would say that the exemptions are fixed, which means they do not move. So that means that there will have to be adjustments to those exemptions in order to cover any differences. Well, what happens to those exemptions? They're added to the digest, and they actually come off the bottom line that the school district receives as well. So the exemptions that are afforded, we understand that we receive less revenue from that. And that's something that we have been working through to ensure that we are affording opportunities through what the county is saying to ensure that you all are in the best position in those categories. So we do understand that there's a lot of revenue that we're sacrificing for the community in this. So some definitions that may not be as knowledgeable because it's specific to the school system. Quality-based education. The QBE is Georgia's state funding formula designed to ensure equitable funding for all public schools by combining state and local resources. It mandates contributions like the 5 meal share and includes equalization to support funding across school districts. What is the local 5 meal share? Under the Georgia QBE formula, the district must contribute 5 meals of local property tax revenue to fund public education statewide. High wealth classification. Twiggs County is considered high wealth based on property values relative to student population, the amount of students, butts and seats that we have in our school district compared to the value of property in our county. Equalization. This equalization grant, this formula redistributes funds from districts like Twiggs County to larger districts like Houston County, Atlanta Public Schools, Gwinnett County, which is the largest school district in the state, top 10 in the country. I want to pause and allow weight to happen on this particular slide. We'll consider high wealth. The money that we're paying to the state goes to larger school districts. There's an inequity and an issue just in that. The money that we pay in our school district goes to another school district that really doesn't need our help, if I'm being quite honest. The next part to this is that this is an additional cost that we as a school district have to pay. So if our millage rate is 17.92, in actuality, we are being funded on 14.92 because that $5 million equivalent goes to another district. We have other implications, funding implications from the state, and this funding formula was established in 1985. There have been some adjustments for safety and things of that nature in transportation, but the essence of ensuring districts like Twiggs County are receiving their equalization and fair share has not happened. So the question remains, who do we send information to get this resolved? We have to fight on the side of the legislature as well in order to ensure that they know that Twiggs County needs other things. Because here's the catch to that. The millage rate in Houston County is 14. They have a $444 million budget on their general side. They have about 30,000 students, which equates roughly to about 16,000, I believe, as far as per pupil expenditure, roughly. So when I look at that, the millage rate is low because they also receive equalization. We could lower our millage rate if we received equalization. So there's other things to consider in this that we have to be mindful of as we're going through processes like this. So again, the county has a decision to make, the city has a decision to make. We are unique. We have a different island that we operate on. I can't speak for the county, I can't speak for the city. What I can speak for is Georgia schools and Twiggs County Public Schools and why our decision to opt out is used by this information. Now, we talked about equalization, but let me put the numbers in front of you. Houston County, $71.8 million they receive in equalization. Bibb County receives $23.1 million. Lawrence received $10.7. Jones County, $9.3. Blakely, next door neighbor, $6.1. Crawford, $1.9. Pulaski, $1.4. Wilkinson, $0. Wilkinson County millage rate is about 18 and some change. So I know that they don't receive it because they're not at 14. We wanted to look at some things as related. If this 3% cap was in place, what's the revenue that we'll lose in the real assessment? It'd be simple. Here we look at a year 2025, and let me be clear on this. The real assessment is not the responsibility of the school system. It takes place when it takes place. It haven't taken place in 15 years, and I know it's costly to do that, but when it does take place, the law says they have about 3 years to do so, every 3 years, so to ensure that taxpayers have a fair assessment. So 2025, it may not happen. This is just an assumption if it did. We'll lose about $500,256 if this would take place in 2025, all the way up to 2030, $581. So we do recognize that there are potential funding implications to this as well. Now, currently, our assessment ratio is 32.69. It's supposed to be close to 40%. That's the fair market value rate. This 32.69 suggests that every piece of property that's assessed on this ratio is undervalued at some point, meaning that when a reassessment does happen, when it's pushed to 40%, and it will happen, that's when your property value and other industries like agriculture, industrial, will have to make some decisions and have some conversations had about this. Now, Wilkinson County is going through a reassessment now that has nothing to do with House Bill 581. It's just time for them to do it. They're going through an appeal process. That is a legal process that as taxpayers you can do. You can appeal. Because honestly, they appealed because they felt it wasn't fair on certain assessment, but that's not a school system issue. That conversation happens at the tax office, not here. So we do understand that an appeal may happen. It's a 45-day process. That's fine. We have to let that process happen. But what we do know is that what happens in Wilkinson County is not relevant to House Bill 581, because I know that was a conversation. So as we look at local $5 million share, total, talking about that $5 million we have to send, that's $2.3 million in total fund that the school district had. If we had $2.3 million in our budget in additional revenue, I would not be standing here. Dr. Bullock wouldn't be sitting there, and the board members wouldn't even be talking to you. Because that's the truth, and that's the fact. because we understand where our dollars are going and why the decision is what it is. Now, I talked about the financial impact of this, but I want to go through just some highlights again just to reiterate. We do know that the assessment ratio is 32.69%. I do know that the departments of audits and accounts, they sample property in Twiggs County. They send a representative out and they say based on, I think it was 56 properties was sampled, this is what the assessment ratio should be. And I do know the Department of Audits are more involved going forward because they want to ensure that equitable assessments are happening across the state. We already talked about the impact of this, what the floating homestead exemption will look like. Now, the additional cost to Twiggs County, the formula say 5 meals, but in actuality, we are paying 6. We're paying 6 meals because the funding ratio of 32.69% assessment ratio is so low. So we have to pay additional money to the state. So that extra meal that we're paying could be money that could be going back into our budget so that we can make the right decision to continue to educate our kids in Twiggs County. We're not the only one. You have 98 school systems. Now, this was as of January 22nd, 2025. I can't tell you what the county is now, but I do know that if 98 other school systems are considering this, that goes back to my first slide. You gave us the opportunity to opt out. Why? The evidence is here. I just explained all of the funding implications. Most school districts in Georgia will have to do everything that I just mentioned, except for those wealthier school districts that receive equalization. Well, low wealth school districts, excuse me, that receive equalization. So we all have the same funding implications here. So 98 school districts have attended to opt out, 25 school districts intend to opt in, and 24 school districts were undecided. And I want to make this clear. Everybody has a different economic landscape in their county, industrial landscape in their county, population. Everyone is unique. And honestly, there are 7 school systems in the state of Georgia. If you remember voting for a 1% SPLOST, Houston County, as an example, they get an additional penny to that. They were grandfathered in long ago, so they have more money on the opposite side that we just don't qualify for because that was a law that was done a long time ago. So here it is, comparing the school system to Houston County, it's not apples to apples, it's more apples to pears in that regard. Now, our process has been very transparent. We have intentionally put it in every single newspaper that ran from January the 2nd all the way into now. We're only required to post it 7 days before a hearing, but we have been intentional about posting it in the legal organ. It's about 44 square inches. I hope it's the biggest thing you see in the paper. We also put frequently asked questions that our superintendent has worked diligently to work with other stakeholders to ensure that you all have as much information as possible. That should be in the last Thursday's paper as it relates to the frequently asked questions. It is on our website. It is on social media, on Facebook. It's been streamed live. It's been reduced to a 2-minute video and shared by stakeholders. This is as transparent in this process we'll get. We have nothing to hide. The dates, we already exhausted January 24, 2025. That has happened. I thank you all for attending that meeting. We had over 20 attendants in that hearing, so well attended, well pleased with that outcome. More ears we can have in attendance is better. January 31st at 9 o'clock, we're currently doing it as we speak. And our last hearing is February 7, 2025 at 6 o'clock p.m. We cordially invite you to come out. These hearings provide information about House Bill 581, which has already been stated, explain the opt-out process, gather community feedback, and it will be held right here in this room. The resolution adoption is nothing we need to vote on, but the resolution will be signed on February 11, 2025. Why are we saying it to you all? Because we don't want you to say that you didn't know we made an action. It's going to take place on February 11, 2025. It's going to be signed. So if you want to show up to that too, you're welcome. That's a board meeting. We'd love to showcase some of the great work we're doing in the school system because that is our board meeting as well. The submission deadline, we have to do this by March 1st. We are hearing some things in the legislature that may extend that deadline. I'm curious on why that is. However, we're staying course and we will finish this process by March the 1st. And I want to be mindful and remind you all that this is a one-time decision. So that's why we're taking the opportunity to be as transparent as possible. You find out when we find out. When the vote came down, we had conversations on why we have an opportunity to opt out. We were just as confused as you were. The ballot question did not explain any of this to us. So we had to take the opportunity to learn, to research, and to figure out why we are put in the position to make a decision that you voted for. Why would you put that on the ballot? If it was the bill was supposed to be intended to help, it would have been a bill with no dispute. That is the issue that I have with it personally. If we had not had the decision to opt out, we wouldn't be here. We'll follow the letter to the law like you are. So that is our consideration, and that's why we're here tonight. So a couple of frequently asked questions. These questions, again, are in the newspaper as well, but I'll take the time to go over a few of them. So what is the purpose of House Bill 581? We talked about that. It went into place January 1st, 2025 of this year, capping annual property tax assessment increases for homestead to the rate of inflation. We also look at what are the likely long-term implications. What are the likely long-term implications of House Bill 581 on taxpayers? We understand that this limits residential property value growth, potentially shifting the tax burden to non-homestead properties like farms, business, and rentals. I understand the tax commissioner has the exemptions in place, and he will do the right thing to ensure that's not a burden. I do know that. I do know that. He's going to do the right thing with that, okay? So over time, it will increase pressure on cities and counties and schools to raise the millage rate to maintain revenue if we remain in. With Twiggs County already nearing the 20 mil cap, how would this affect us down the road? Because we know that we only can go to 20 mils, and we did that twice in 2007 and 2008. Now, one thing that we don't have, which would have been an option to look at as well in this, is that the Twiggs County is considering opting out for another reason, because we do not have the proposed floating local option sale tax, which is a FLOST. That is only provided to the city and the county, which is an extra penny to offset revenue, which don't cost anything out of your dollars as a taxpayer. So there's an option there. So someone thought enough to say, well, let's give an additional revenue source because we know it's going to hurt somebody. Again, if the bill was such a good bill, why give an additional penny to put on the ballot to offset revenue? Why is Twiggs County? Let me go to the next question. This seems like a benefit to taxpayers. Why is Twiggs County considering to opt out? So we understand that the long-term awards of this will create inequities among similar homes. We talked about growth and young people coming to the county. Well, when younger folks come and they buy a home for the first time, if a property sits beside them for 30 years versus a new one, they will pay two different tax bills. That's just the facts of the matter. So this could harm the community, could make us less attractive, home buyers, businesses, and young families. The goal is to keep the county affordable and tax-friendly for everybody. Why doesn't Twiggs County take more time to consider this? As we said before, when we understood the implications of the bill, we could not even advertise or even make public record of this until January the 1st. So we had restrictions. We had to do this between January, February, and March 1st. Complete all the hearings, get public feedback, and also ensure that we was being transparent as possible. And the last question here, are other school systems planning to opt out? As of January 22nd, 2025, as I stated previously, 98 school systems plan to opt out of House Bill 581, while 25 systems plan to opt in, 24 remain undecided. Some systems opting out have additional revenue streams that we don't have, such as the e-loss, and that's what I mentioned about Houston County. Now, I do want to end with this and say that we don't have a positional side we're taking. We have an interest that we're taking. The interest is ensuring that the kids of this county are well educated and have the resources to do so. We also want to continue to invite you all to be participants in our school system. Our principals have opportunities for you to come read to the children. They have opportunities for you to come volunteer. So we're not in this alone. I think I saw a comment on Facebook on one of our posts that said that we should expect a fight. The only fight that we're interested in is fighting for these children. That is the only fight. And we're going to continue to position ourselves to be advocates for the children of Twiggs County Public Schools, no matter what legislation comes down. Our job is to ensure that these children are educated. Quality was mentioned. Come see what's happening in the classrooms. Just come see. The invitation is open. Walk through the schools, come see what is happening in our classrooms. You will be surprised by the amount of work that is taking place. We have great teachers, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, custodians. You're welcome to even come sub. We have opportunities for you to participate. We can even teach our kids what it means to be a homeowner in Twiggs County, what taxes really look like. I'm sure Mr. Quaver Stevens would be glad to have community that can explain that process as well. So we want to be a partner with you all. This law is not going to divide this community. If you're allowed to divide it, then that's something that I can't say nothing else about. But our intent is to continue to be a partner with you in this community. That is our goal, and that aligns back to our mission and our vision of this school district. Now, at this time, I'm going to relinquish my seat. I'm going to have a seat. And remember, you have 5 minutes. This is the podium. This is the mic. Please speak clearly. It's been already established that responses are not required from the board member, and et cetera. All the information is within this presentation. And the timer will be on the screen. Once 5 minutes is up, we hope that you'll have a seat. If not, we'll just have a signal to say, hey, the 5 minutes is up. Dr. Bullock, any other protocol need to be established before I sit down? At this time, public input is required.
Thank you very much. My name is Buddy Neesmith. I'm the tax commissioner. James, it's a good presentation. And again, as the board knows, I've invited them to come by. I've had one board member to come and would love to sit down and actually debate this with James. James did a great job. There's several things out here that I'm concerned about, that some of the numbers that I think we're kind of getting off focus here when we go to talking about the quality basis education. That $5 million has nothing to do with what we're here for today. Today we're here to talk about this homestead exemption. This amount that some are using to say your property values go from $100,000 to $110,000 is not realistic. It's going to go from $100,000 to $200,000. Okay, this exemption, we got to focus on the exemption now. I know the school has not only the QBE issues with the $5 million thing. That's the cost of doing business. That has nothing to do with this bill. It doesn't matter if it's that, if you got to buy a bunch of new buses or whatever, you got to have salary increases. That's just a cost to the school. Has nothing to do with this bill. This bill says that if the tax assessor's office goes up on your tax phase, that the homeowner gets to have a better exemption than it had in the past. $6,000, y'all, I can give you the numbers on it. It's gone back for 20 years. $25,000 gone back probably 15 years. When you have a reevaluation, your value in your $6,000 is not increased. When you jack your value up from $100,000 to $200,000, that exemption stays at $6,000. The homeowner needs relief. James mentioned conservation use forest land protection. That's on your land. I have 70 acres of land. I'm on the conservation use. I realize that, and I enjoy that exemption. I don't care if I have a reevaluation and they put my 75 acres at $1 million. I don't care, because my value is going to stay at the conservation value. I'm not going to have an increase in my values next year. The homeowner is. And we talked about Wilkerson County, and I wanted to meet with the board, and I still appreciate it if y'all come meet with me, because I know I don't have time in 5 minutes to do all this. But I wanted you to look at Wilkerson County. This was their 5-year history that I pulled yesterday. They increased their values in 2024 from $553 million to $560 million. That was a 24% increase in values. They also had a mini increase last year. They had an exemption, y'all. Listen now. Their exemptions last year was $53 million. This is in their published 5-year history. It's in the paper right now. Anybody can go pull it. Their exemptions went from $53 million to $97 million. Okay? just their exemptions. With that increase, a 24% increase in their overall tax values, they reduce their millage rate from 19.68 mills to, this is advertised, to 18.75 mills. They rolled their millage rate back, and then they still picked up an additional $732,000. If we take this same percentage of 24% increase in our digest, if we have a reevaluation next year, the formula that I have, if we increase that amount by 24%, all your values in Twiggs County, and the rollback that we would have on this homestead exemption amounts to $18 million. We would take $18 million versus $43 million off. Running the same millage rate, the school could roll their millage rate back and still could roll their millage rate back to keep their millage rate at $17.92 and have $1.2 million increase in values. The numbers that are coming out of Atlanta are just not equitable to what Twiggs County has. It's just, the numbers are just not there. I mean, I can't stand up here and do this to y'all in 5 minutes, but I'd welcome the board, and one of the board members has visited me. Let's see, look at what happened, what's gonna happen in Twiggs County. James, one of the things I do, please, all due respect, I need to correct you on is that rollback that you talked about and that y'all rolled back for 21, 22, and 23. That was based on an inflation, not an inflation, but a reassessment value, which was a minimal amount just during a normal year. That rollback rate was very, very minimal. And even when you roll back that rate, what they picked up on the reevaluation offset that at the end. So I can show you those numbers too. So there was really no rollback. And y'all, and really right now, and I'm running out of time, I got 18 seconds. What really concerns me is, James, and I hope this is not the end of it, but one thing that you said, that it will be signed. So if the board has made up their mind, I'm wasting my time up here. I'd love to come back. I'd love to meet with y'all, but you said it will be signed, and I have a lot more to do than to come back. But I appreciate y'all, and I still invite y'all to come see me.
My name is David Allen. Well, I did have some questions for the board. I still do. I mean, how many grants are applied for? And does anybody on the school board have responsibility for applying for the grants? Being the fact now that it's a done deal, it sounds like, let me tell the rest of y'all, it ain't. You contact Danny Mathis. That's our representative for Twiggs County. Contact Chuck Hufstetter. He's the Senate Finance Committee Chairman. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this bill, what I'm reading and what I'm seeing from the representative stuff, they think it's a bad thing too. A lot of them don't understand. Like talking about, didn't understand it. A lot of them don't either, and a lot of them don't know why it's happened. But the other thing too about this is, Twiggs County is rated 196 out of 222 school districts. Jefferson Elementary School, this is online. You can find this right here. This one's from the state, 2024, 2025. Elementary school, math, 29%, reading 29%. Reading for the state, 40%. Math, Twiggs County, 15%. Georgia average, 37%. Now, the thing about it is, y'all said you're going to do this, and you don't want to divide the county, but let me ask you this. How can we support y'all when the numbers here, Twiggs is failing consecutively? And you want support. Now, there is one attribute that the state gives y'all. Y'all do come out good on one thing. It's student to teacher ratio. Like 12 to 1. The other thing, and I didn't bring these numbers, but the other thing too about it is part of this budget, This school board is extremely top-heavy. Houston County, the school superintendent gets $357,000 for 37 campuses, 30,000 students. $189,000 here for 3 campuses, less than 750 students. But I'm telling y'all, the Legislative Assembly can vote against the school board and stop this opting out. It's not a done deal now. But my whole thing about it is, what I feel, and I think like most people do too, if you're getting your money's worth, yeah. But you know something, this is one thing I've heard so much in my life, just do your best, just do your best. But I tell you what I found out in the real world, if the best you can do ain't good enough, you ain't doing it. But like I said, y'all contact these people.
I'm Nancy Harrington. I've been a resident for over 70 years here in Twiggs County. I'm a former educator for over 40 years. I, like you, Mr. Allen, believe that the students in this county deserve better. The taxpayers deserve better. 75% of the voters voted against this. Yet, as you pointed out, obviously not listening because it's going to be signed. We used a 21, 22, 23 rollback. That was during the pandemic. Most of the school system was not working at that time. That cuts your electricity costs, that cuts your gas costs, your buses, all of that. That's null and void as far as statistics are concerned. Money will not fix all problems. It doesn't. It just doesn't. You used Houston County as an example. Look at the industry in Houston County with the base, with all of the outlying industries that support the base. That's where their money comes from. We don't have that. And one of the reasons we don't have that is because an industry's not going to bring or come to Twiggs County if they don't have a school system that's viable. Well, you know, you said if you were going to opt out, and it also says you can't rejoin. So what will be the plan then? If the opting out is the wrong decision, what is going to be your option then? You know, I'm concerned about the time of instruction. I'm not sure how many weather days there have been taken this year, but there were 3 or 4 last week. You know, that's 24 hours of instruction that was missed. Someone said to me, oh, but they have computers and they play games on the computers and that is not instruction. A principal I was under one time told us in a faculty meeting, when the bell rings, instruction begins. When the bell rings again, that instruction stops. That is 53 minutes of teaching. That's not happening if you're not even in school. I don't care if every child has a computer. Most children are not even going to look at that computer. You know, we talked about proficiency. There are 229 students in the high school here. The content mastery was 20%. You use Bleckley as an example, 80%. Progress is 63% and 71% in Bleckley. Even if you're comparing to Wilkinson, your American literature, 73% of those students here in this county are only at a beginning level. 73%. That means only 20% are developing, which means they're not at the top, and only 6% in American literature are actually proficient. This is on the state website. Biology, 69% are beginning. Again, 70% of the students are not even proficient. In U.S. history, 67% are beginning learners. That is my taxpayer money at work. And I just don't feel like my tax return, my taxes paid, are getting what they deserve. I think the students here deserve a lot better than that.
Good morning. My name is Ricky Entrican. I'm a resident of Twiggs County in Danville. Just wanted to kind of reiterate what something Mr. Buddy said. You give us 5 minutes to speak on a decision that's already been made, apparently. So my question is, what are we doing here today? and as a school system, what are we doing here today? I've heard a lot of things about the great work that our school system is doing. But as you've heard, and a lot of people must have been looking on my notes before I came up here because they stole my stuff, our school system is not succeeding. And only in a public forum could someone stand up here and say, we're going to take more money for a failing system. In a private setting, in a private industry, the level of failure that we see right now would not be tolerated. Not even close to being tolerated. It would not. I mean, we have some of the lowest scores in the state. I didn't find a single category, and I'm not going to rehash because I've only got 5 minutes, all the stuff that was said here today. The numbers are what they are, but I couldn't find a single category in which we weren't in the bottom 50% of the state of Georgia. I mean, we have some proficiencies in some of our schools in single digits. And we are, I mean, I'm telling you, you do not understand the impact. Beyond the money and what you do of opting us out and putting us in a permanent situation for the next 50 years in a failing situation, I'm more concerned about the damage that we are doing to our kids. We are failing these kids. We will have generation of kids who cannot survive beyond where they're at right now. Miss Nancy made a great point about, just the levels of proficiency, and the problem is we're not building them. The elementary school is luckily our best school. There was a rating system I found in one of the websites that basically said our school is rated on a 1 to 10 scale, and our elementary school was 4 out of 10. Great, 40%. We didn't pass, but we failed. But the high school and middle school were 1 out of 10. That was the rating. They were 1 out of 10. The proficiency ratings are, so we're starting here, but somewhere there's a disconnect. And I guess my problem is throwing money at the issue is not the problem. I mean, it's not the thing. We have been throwing money at the school system since before I got here. We closed elementary schools. We closed Danville Elementary. We closed the school up in North. We have done things to cut costs and throw money at this. We raised the millage rate to throw money at this. We have one of the highest per student spending in the state of Georgia. 16 and some change, close to $17,000 per student. which is the state average is 13,000. So it's not like we're not giving money. I looked at the on the Georgia Insights on the website, and basically roughly about $4.5 million is given on property taxes alone in Twiggs County towards Twiggs County. In our budget, 41.5% of the monies comes from the local level. So this is not a case of you coming up here and saying, hey, we need money, and everybody's saying, no, no, no. We give. People, we've been doing this, you know, we have been funding our children, but the problem is, where's our return on investment? Where is our return on investment? Where is the accountability? I heard accountability used so many times. Where is the accountability to stand up and say, you know what, I have failed. What we are doing is failing, and we need to right the ship and turn it around. Turn it around. And throwing money is not the direction that we need to go in. I mean, we are failing these kids miserably. And I'm sorry, this is not an attack on any educator. I know most educators, I know several, they pour their heart and soul into it. But as a system, we are failing them. And nobody, at the last meeting, when you raised the millage rate, I had one board member I spoke to after the meeting who even acknowledged, hey, yeah, we aren't doing what we're supposed to in that area. That's the problem. Nobody stands up here and says, oh, we're failing, but, you know, they don't even address it. I would have more respect if you did that. So apparently this is for nothing, but I just wanted to make sure that you understand where we're at. I mean, and I do not disagree. Accountability needs to be had, and it needs to be had. It may have to be had.
I'm Sarah Falk Harrell, and I've lived here my whole life. I am very concerned that the briefer did not, and the Board of Education members did not take advantage and talk. He said one and maybe one call. But I feel like you should have taken the time to talk to the tax commissioner, and the briefing should have reflected that. You haven't changed the briefing at all, so that concerns me. Also, I want to talk about, I thought someone said, maybe it was on Facebook, I want someone to get us a POC about this Quality Basic Education Act, because I understand that the tax commissioner says that's not issue, but I do want to understand that better. I want to understand, like, the number ratio. Where did the people who are going to other schools, private, public, are they counted in the number of the homeschoolers? So I know y'all can't comment to us, but please go on, let me know which website. You need to answer some of these questions. When we had the millage rate increase, y'all didn't bring that up then. So I feel like you wasn't really transparent. You're saying you want to be transparent now? Show us. And the other thing I'd like for you to tell me about your budget. I'd like to know where, as a public, I want to see, what are you doing? Are you just funding everything? Like where I used to work, we got a budget and we had to cut stuff. We had a prioritization list. It wasn't that the other stuff wasn't important, but what was priority. So I want to see, are you looking at promotion freezes, hiring freezes? How are you trying to reduce your costs? Because like everybody said, money is not the problem. We need to know how you're going to improve the school system. And since y'all can't comment back, I'd like to see you on the website. It's fine y'all did your little show here today, but we're talking about education, how these people are going to go to school and have a better living. Thank you.
I don't know about all these figures. I don't know all about this tax situation. That man right there, the one I rely on, he tells me what I need to know and makes suggestions. That's what I go by. And I'm gonna stand with the voters of Tweeds County. 75% voted for it. I think that's where we ought to be. We ought to stay there. Thank y'all.
The comment was made about this all started because of Atlanta, and Atlanta is basically dictating to the state, you know, property owners in Atlanta. How is it that 5 members of a school board can dictate to the citizens of Twiggs County what we lawfully voted for? That is my question. If we're going to talk about this being, I mean, I don't want to use the term taxation without representation, but it really is. We voted for this, and I can tell you right now, I know the law is confusing, and I know it's got its ugly sister with it. I'm sorry, y'all, I shouldn't have said that. It's got that ugly compromise with it that says we can opt out, but that was a compromise to get it through. What we voted for, what I voted for, what the people I voted for was that cap, not that exemption. So my question is, if it all started because of a group of people who are dictating to the state, why is it now then that a small group of 5 people are going to dictate to the citizens of Twiggs County what we can and can't do?
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. As Mr. Karstoffen had already mentioned at the very beginning, this is a forum for the board members to hear what the public feels about their intention to opt out of House Bill 581. So that is what they are doing. They're listening to what your feelings are, what your concerns are. And in reference to what Mr. Austin said, they are listening. They're listening to what you're saying intently. The decision will be made on February the 11th. He really was trying to assert that the date that they have scheduled to sign the resolution is on February the 11th. The date is February 11th. So that is really what was being asserted. Our next board meeting is February 11th. So that is the date that they are planning on considering the resolution. But these hearings are to hear the voices of the people, and that's what the board members are here to do today. So I saw that the group was, slowing down in terms of people coming to the microphone. Let me just say as well, and this is not speaking, on behalf of the board, because the board, are the decision-making body. We provide information and provide them with direction, give them information, and give them our recommendation based on that information. Our school system and our students are our number one priority. And as I said in our last meeting, we understand what our students' proficiency rate is on particular examinations. Some I'm not familiar with, that some people are talking about, some I am familiar with. And we take responsibility for making sure that each one of our students starts where they are and move up. We have expert leaders, we have individuals in the classroom who have been trained and knowledgeable, and they are working diligently every day to move every student forward. And every student starts at a different place, and to move them forward. And that is what we do every single day. As I said in the last meeting as well, I had a presentation at the Chamber of Commerce back in September, October-ish, where I showed the percent increases that our school district has had. Because you have to take kids where they are and move them forward. You have to take me where I am and move me forward. And we have made increases over time. And we will continue to make increases over time. So, as I said to that group then, when the hearings are over, I'll do that presentation again so that you can see the growth that is happening in the schools. It's important to see the growth. It's important to make context with the numbers. The numbers themselves say one thing, but you also have to have context with the numbers, because you have to be able to consider where the numbers started and where the numbers are now. So that presentation I've committed to giving again, and I will. I'll do that presentation again for the community after the hearings are over. But the board does have one more public hearing in reference to House Bill 581. That one will be on the 7th at 6 p.m. We thank you all for coming out today. The board did hear your comments. I took copious notes as well for those who aren't here, so I can put it into writing for them so that they'll know exactly what you had to say. And of course, we recorded it as well. Thank you again for coming out today. The public hearing is officially over. And again, those who didn't come out today, please invite them to come February the 7th. Thank you.